one of the Facial festival releases that the SMWS did, and I was lucky enough to get one bottle from that whole release because I was at a meeting at 10 o'clock, and this was one of the only things left at like 10:15 by the time I was done. They went really quickly. This is the Bowmore SMWS 3.314. It's called Loungecore Stave Exoticism, which don't know what that means.
It's a lot of adjectives.
It's a 15-year-old.
And some nouns.
And some nouns, yeah. I mean, it almost makes a sentence.
The Scottish Malt Whisky Society are drop dead the best at describing their whiskey.
Oh wait, is this from the? It is. I thought it looked familiar, but this is their new. This is their new bottle.
Their new bottle.
Oh yeah, I thought. Oh, I always love the Scotch Malt Whisky
They went from that logo.
Right.
That logo.
Okay. Yeah, I thought.
Well,
it
the
looked
vaults
familiar.
are still in there, but it's a little more graphic.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Okay, well, I'm always excited to have one of these.
So, 15-year-old, 56.8%.
We've been complaining to them, and Jenna, who's the brand ambassador for them at the moment, we keep complaining to them. It's like, because they used to have the full description on the bottle, and then they started to edit those down. And it was like, no, this is the best. One of the best bits about it was actually reading what these guys who obviously chose the barrel and their idea of what that whiskey represented. And it was like, we ended up, because they normally what they do at the Whisky Society is, because there's only one person there that has a Scottish accent, and that's the guy from Burbank. They normally get me to read out things in my Scottish brogue. So I would always read out what it said on the bottle. And then we ended up having to go to their website to get the full description. And I'm like, oh, just stick it back in the bottle again. It's like, it's what people love about it. And I don't know who their
graphic designer is,
marketing guy is, but he should have been fired long ago.
I do like to taste them before I hear the description. Generally, like before I hear the long description, I like to taste them first.
So you don't get
preconceived.
But
I love their descriptions.
So for the festival releases, here's what I found out: they don't put any description on it at all. There's no text. You have to go to the website.
Huh. I agree. Yeah, I agree with Stuart. They should put the text on there. And I do, because when you read that, like I kind of recognized the logo, even though they've changed it. When you said those words, I was like, in my brain, I was like, wait, is this a Scotch Malt Whisky Society? Because they're the ones who are like, it's apples, dragons, underground, handlebars, you know? And it's like, oh, that must be them, right? And
you're like, they're talking about, you know, the little puffer that is out on the, you know, or the mechanisms of an old paddle steamer, and you're going, huh? And half the time, though, this is the funny bit as well. A lot of people are going, what does that actually mean, Stuart? And then I have to go, well, there was this TV show that guys used to be on this boat, and all right, okay, or there'd be different kinds of candy that you don't get here, and sometimes I'm looking at it, I don't fucking know. I have no idea, you know. But there's definitely a very localized description that kind of makes it just.
It's like Jelly Babies and digestives. Eaten in a flat with some crisps.
Yeah.
True. And sultanas, like they keep referencing sultanas, and I was like, I don't know what that is.
This doesn't automatically come at me and says Bowmore. Bowmore's.
No. Ooh. No.
Yeah.
This is too sweet for a Bowmore.
It's got some real sweetness in it. That's like syrupy, in a good way. Yeah, this has that candy shop smell that.
Yeah, there's a bit of that, but there's also a bit of, I don't know, it's like some plant-based thing that's going on. It's like maybe gorse or something like that.
Gorse.
It's a yellow flowering bush that's all over.
Right. Yeah, I mean, this could be like daisies or something. Definitely something that's like a field of.
It's something. Yeah, it's spring based. You know, it's like.
I'm kind of reserving judgment because I don't know if the peat that we just had with the Ardbeg is totally eclipsing whatever peat's in the Bowmore, because they do use a lower peat phenol count.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if there was peat in here, I would get it though, because I'm always looking for peat.
Oh boy,
Yeah?
Stuart's he's tasted it now. The nose is kind of unassuming though.
It's definitely a Bowmore when you taste it. Yeah, the Bowmore's there. And by God, that's what was the alcohol point on this one?
This is 56.8.
56. Yeah.
It rides a wee bit higher than that. Woo.
Yeah, it feels higher.
Oh, but there's
That finish. There's so
yummy
much going on
kind of
in that
berries
finish.
or something in the finish. Oh,
Yeah, that finish is a surprise. It's like a whole different sip of another drink.
the nose doesn't prepare you for the taste, which doesn't prepare
No.
you for the finish.
Yeah,
It's
Wow.
quite
this
viscous
is
as well.
a series of surprises.
It's quite viscous. It kind of like coats and hangs around. This one hangs around. Yeah. What's the?
Oh
Yeah,
boy.
look at that sticking to the side of the glass. Mm.
Yeah, this is I feel like this is something you wouldn't drink casually. This is like, you got to know you're getting into this before you get into this. It's not for beginners.
There's a flavor that pops up every now and again for me, and it just kind of like it's kind of strange because everybody goes, "Oh, what are you talking about?" And it's kind of plant based again, and it's like elderberry or something.
Yeah, there's definitely a berry in there.
And
Like
elderberry is the one that kind of pops out to me.
I want to say salmon berry, which is a berry that is in Oregon. It's like it looks like salmon eggs, and it's not super sweet.
Uh-huh.
It looks like kind of like a salmon colored raspberry, but it's not. It doesn't taste like a raspberry. It's more tartness to it.
Yeah, no, I've not come across that.
Yeah.
But oh man, it packs a punch, man.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I poured myself a little more, and now I'm like, what did I commit to? Because we have more to, because I would commit to this for an evening, but we're doing a show here, so.
Yeah.
In the finish, there's what is that? This is where we need like someone like Monique who's really good at going, oh, that's this flavor, and I don't have words to describe it.
It's really interesting in the world of whiskey. It was very much a male-dominated thing for forever, which was sadly a big mistake because women in particular have and it's because of, this is just a historic thing, a legacy thing, and this no way describes a woman of current day, but women in general know their way around a kitchen in terms of like when they make food, and they're getting all those smells, and so it's quicker for them. Like my wife, she is the one that wants to make food for us all. That's her passion.
Well, regardless of where they might whether women might be cooking or not, I feel like I mean women have like generally a more refined palate. Like they I think they have a better sense of smell in general.
Well, they've actually found that in the whiskey world at the moment, and you'll notice there are a lot more women involved in the whiskey world now, and it's because of their palate.
It's really distressing that because of sexism they've been like in the past they've been not allowed because the contribution is like I don't know. It's
honestly, if Monique was on here with us, she would come up with all these different things that she uses in her because she loves to cook.
Oh,
and
so good.
I don't cook. I throw a steak on the Barbie, and that's me.
I love cooking. My dad cooked all the time, and I love it.
And that's what I find also with guys who cook. They have a more they're quicker to find what those flavors are. If it's a guy that's cooking, or if it's a woman that's cooking. But obviously, historically, women performed that role, and because of that, all the sensory factors were more alert and in tune. And why that wasn't taken advantage of until recently is kind of strange. But and it's interesting. You look at cooking shows now, and there's a lot more guys involved, and those are the guys who actually can pull flavors out of the nose.
It's the experience of like having just that ingredient and being able to taste it. And just like I think when you have all these single casks from these distilleries, you start to...
There's a really good book by Timothy Ferriss called The 4-Hour Chef that he talks about, because he didn't know how to cook and then he kind of taught himself how to cook. That's kind of Timothy Ferriss, this whole thing. But he talks about like building a palate, and like you basically have to like, you do it a flavor at a time. It's like learning a vocabulary, you know, you learn, this is fennel. This is what fennel tastes like. This is how it changes. Fennel goes well with these flavors. It's like, you just have to build that out over time, you know.
It's training that we need to do.
Yeah.
The other people have already done, you know, if you look at all the different shows that are on TV about cooking, I mean, these people have trained all of this, and we are kind of like novices in that world, you know. We know what we like. It's like, oh my God, there's 15 different flavors, and I don't know what they are.
But wow, they work well together.
They're there. I mean, one of my going back to Ardbeg is one of your favourite. If you ever get an opportunity, Joseph, to try the Ardbeg roller coaster, one of their committee releases, the name is perfect because it's a roller coaster ride when you're tasting it. It's like it's all these different things happening, and you're going, oh, it's going, oh, there's another one, oh, going, oh, there's another one. Unbelievable whiskey, unbelievable. It's a shame that was just a 1-year release, you know.
Well, I also do love having different people from different backgrounds on the show, because like that is the thing, like it's not just like the different notes of flavor, but it's like how you approach this and how you describe it. Like I think a lot of times we've had people who are musicians or who create music on the show, and we talk about like the attack and decay and sustain, you know what I mean? Like, and it's a very great analogy for the flavors of this, or you know, or the you know, sense of synesthesia of like this, you know. I will often find myself talking about like, oh, this, like I'll taste it and go, this sounds like, I'll hear myself saying that, like this whiskey sounds like it, and it's like, how does it sound like something? It's a flavor, you know, and it's a smell, like, so.
No, that happens. It's like, oh yeah, and it will remind you. There's certain whiskies that just remind me of a piece of music. And I go, how? Why? What? That doesn't make any sense, but it does.
Yeah, it's one of the things I do miss from being together in the bar is being able to have the music and kind of like that also adds to the experience of what we're tasting.
Yeah, but you know, you're never awake for it, so.
Zing!
Had to get that in somewhere.
Oh, I know. Actually, I know a secret about Andrew that you haven't heard. Do you want to hear it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
This is something that you don't know. It's kind of embarrassing. He fucking loves whiskey. I got you.
Boom!
Zing.
Nice.
Well done.
High five, Joseph. High five.
Nice one. Well done.
Oh,
see,
that's awesome.
See, he can come anytime today. You've just, you know, you've passed the exam.
He's now the master.
It was a tough exam, but
yeah,
studied hard.
Yeah. Been sitting there for like the past half hour going, now?
Yeah, this is great. I liked everything we've had so far, but honestly, right now, this is kind of my favorite thing. I mean, the Black Art is amazing, but right now, just kind of where I am right now, I really like the boldness of this. So.
As a I'm not a. It is Bowmore. Bowmore is a kind of. They've gone through a really difficult phase, and sort of, they had this sort of lilac thing, this perfumey thing going on that turned a lot of people away from it. But these days, Bowmore are actually they've got their game back. I think some of the stuff, and this one included, is just. They've obviously, whatever that was that they had, whether it was the barrels, I don't know what brought that perfume to their world, but that seems to have gone into the distant past now, and that's a good news for them, because I will actively look out for a Bowmore now because of more recent things that they're producing.
Yeah, because like five years ago or so, it was more like, you know, oh, Bowmore is the safe islet to go to. It's not as peated. It's going to be pleasant. It's going to be docile. It's going to be, you know, influenced by that. But this is, wow.
I do think it's interesting when drinking scotch that we're kind of looking into the past. Like, in a way, we're kind of astronomers, because, you know, you look at the light of stars and it's like, that light was shined like years ago before it got to us, right? Because it has to travel, you know, at the speed of light. And that's like with scotch, like we're drinking these things that were bottled, you know, a long time ago. And
Put
it's
it into
not
a cask 15 years ago, and it's just been sitting there. And
then,
do a
I
good
mean,
job.
there is the extra step of like, then they took it out and tasted it, and they were like, oh, this, you know, they chose it. They,
now,
you know, but.
Yeah, and there's an absolute craft to that. Those people that are in that world, they have talents very specific to that world, and none of us could do it. And that's why, I mean, you could. There's science behind it, but you can't replicate what whiskey does, because there's too many variables, too many little nuances, and to get somebody, you know, like a Jim McEwen, it's like, wow, like, who's going to take over? Because we need as many people like that as possible, because he's not that young these days, and I don't know, you know, he's got a new venture with
hopefully Ardnahoe comes out with something amazing.
But he was supposed to be retired. He's ratcheting
But then Hunter Lang,
you know, it's like
totally polluted his money, his life with money.
I do think it speaks to like the quality of what we're drinking today, that we have not even talked about sciencing any of them. We're just like,
oh my God, no, we haven't.
We haven't. And I've thought about it, but I'm also like, you know what?
None of those needed it.
I don't want to science any of these.
Well, we do have, and going back to Ardbeg, one of your favourites again, we do have a scientist who is the guy behind Glenmorangie and Ardbeg and what they're doing, and he brings a lot of science to it.
Well, there are a lot of actual scientists that are working on the chemical properties. When we talk about science, we're talking about adding water to.
Yeah, we're talking about our science, Stuart.
We call it science.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we call it.
Why add more? Oh yeah, that's right, science. Yeah,
science.
Yeah, we have to do
my,
that.
My brother-in-law, when he talks about science, he's talking about smoking marijuana. That's his phrase. He'll be like, "You want to go do some science?" Like that's. So there's a lot of that word. It's like doing a lot of heavy lifting, I think. Right?
But you know, we are getting some good science apart from that water into the whiskey world, which is of a benefit.
Yeah.
I mean,
you want to go back in science
of distilling? I mean, you can if you'd like to. Mine are done, so I can't.
I mean, mine too.
But I have bottles here, so I could fill some up again. Well, let's see where we get to at the end, and then we can come back, because we still got 2 more whiskeys. This is
Oh yeah,
it's part of a journey. But I was just thinking, when you were talking about like we're looking into the past, it really is just like you have an artist who is going to put all their skill into distilling this thing, into choosing the barley that goes in, and choosing the peat, and choosing the, you know, however they're going to roast it, choosing the barrels, choosing all these things, and then just stepping away. And so they just put a glob of paint up on top, and they hope it distills down into a Mona Lisa over 15, you know, years or whatever. It's
one of those things when I used to do the classes over at Von Fass with Collier. My part in those classes, he done all the science and the history and all that as a good German mood. And he loved all that stuff. And I just done all right, how do you taste this stuff? How do you get the most out of it? I'd pick up this glass and, you know, show them different styles of glass. And I'd say,
you were the experiential, you were the artist side of it. He was the science side of it.
I would say to them, I'd say, look, here's the deal. You can drink your whiskey any way you like. You can put ginger ale in it. You can a mountain of ice in it, whatever. But if I bought it, you're putting fucking nothing in it.
Yeah. Like I said, you can do anything you want with your whiskey, but this is my whiskey.
But you can do whatever you like with it. But one of the things that I would say was,
I may have heard this before.
What I did say to them was, look, do one simple thing and give respect for how long it took to make that alcohol that's sitting in your glass. So 15 years, 18 years, 12 years, even 5 years, it doesn't really matter. It's like, have respect for the people that put their whole body and soul into making this for you. For you to just chug it back, it's kind of disrespectful. So I always say, give any whiskey that you taste, give it its time, its due respect, in whichever form you want to do it, but at least appreciate it. And that's what I said. I used to drink whiskey, now I appreciate whiskey, and that to me was one of the learning things when I tasted that 21-year-old Springbank all those years ago. I went, wow, okay, yeah, now it's time to respect and not just get fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Which I used to do quite a bit. And
I love that I used to drink whiskey
do.
and now I appreciate whiskey. That's great. That's great. That says it all.